Okay, so my media presentation is actually a poem and it's called False Perceptions. And the main thing that I wanted to get out with this poem is the different ways that media kind of manipulates society to believing what they say, whether it's video proof that they've clipped to make it seem like the message that they're trying to get across, or if it's blaming certain groups of race or location or, money standard. I'm sorry ahead of time if you can hear my dogs. But also it's about, I'm sorry, I got distracted with the dogs. But overall, it's just the inaccuracies that media is constantly representing, and I'm just going to go ahead and read it. So it's called False Perceptions again, and it starts off like this. Be scared, watch out, believe, they say. Media is as true as an encyclopedia. What we say is the way. Watch our proof. But the proof is a spoof. 4-minute video turned into 10 seconds, I don't think so. The authorities' priority is not the truth. It's a manipulation to the susceptible youth. Be scared, watch out, believe. Violence is not silent. It's screaming, it's bleeding, it's there. Where? Minorities, cities, the poor, fear them. Don't forget to lock your door. Never white, that's not right. Watch our video again. One another? Be scared, watch out, believe. I'm now scared. I'm watching out, and I believe. Media made me misconceive. So that's the poem in its total, and I'll just kind of dissect it as it was going. So I started off with bringing in the point about the proof that media is constantly giving, because personally, I believe when I'm watching something or reading something, if I see it happen in a video or a picture or something like that, the truth that I feel it holds kind of skyrockets, because it's not just somebody telling you what happened, it's you're seeing it with your own eyes. But the sad part about that is it is usually a 4-minute video that is clipped 10 seconds to try to get the point that media is getting across to the public. And usually it's not anything like what the clip makes it seem like it is. And we did talk a lot about that in class, so I thought it was necessary to include in the poem. And then my poem goes on to say that to represent how media is kind of seen as an authority figure to a lot of society, because they're the ones that are on TV and they're the ones that are constantly, interviewing and going out places and finding all these crimes and these stories, and we rely on them to know what's happening in the world. So we do put a little bit of a platform for them. And the way that I represented that is saying that the authorities' priority is not the truth. It's a manipulation to the susceptible youth. And the reason I put youth in general is because our age groups are the most susceptible to information. We're the most susceptible to change our minds, to believe inaccuracies, and that's not only our age group who do it though. Everyone from 5 to 37 to 102 can believe things in the media just because it seems right. But in reality, before we take information strongly from what we absorb in the media, we need to take the time to fact check what they're saying, to find out where they're getting their information from. Who are they interviewing to find out who happened? And without doing our own research and doing our own digging, then we're honestly just letting ourselves believe inaccuracies without even doing anything about it. So then my poem goes on to say that violence is not silent. It's screaming, it's bleeding, it's there. And then the society comes back and says, where? And that is also a huge fact that I think doesn't represent itself enough. I'm trying to say in this that the media is saying that violence is everywhere, that anybody can be part of a violent act of crime at any moment, and it happens often, and I said it's screaming, it's bleeding, it's there. But in reality, none of us have probably been part of a violent act of crime, and if we have, it's no more than 1 or 2 of us, and that's just by chance, because maybe we're in criminology field, so maybe we're in the right place at the wrong time. But in reality, most crimes that are happening are property crimes or petty theft. It's not big acts of murder or rape or manslaughter and stuff like that. And then my poem goes on to say that when society asks where, the media comes back and says minorities, cities, and the poor. But in reality, the only reason that cities, we'll start with cities, the only reason that cities have such a high crime rate is because the population is so dense and there are so many more opportunities for crime. There are more people who have the intentions, the criminal intentions, and that's completely different than a rural area. And it's not because of the people living in it. It's not because of the minority rate that are in cities, because yes, there are more minorities in cities than there are in rural areas. And yes, there are more crimes committed in cities than there are in rural areas, but it's not because it's minorities. If there was a city that was completely full of Caucasian people, there would still be way higher crime rate than there would be in other rural areas, and that has nothing to do with the race. And I also did make the point that it's never white people represented at the media. I said never white, that's not right, because that's not what the media wants to give out to the public, that the rich, wealthy, Caucasian people are the ones that we need to fear, the ones that are dangerous. No. We want it to be the minorities. And that's what people believe, which is honestly disgusting. And because if you look at the statistics, you look at the facts, you look at the uniform crime rates and everything, there's no more white people, or no less white people committing crimes than there are minorities. And that is something that I truly never understood. I don't know if it drives from racism or what, but I don't understand why race has ever had anything to do with crime in the media. But I ended my poem with saying, now I'm scared, I'm watching out, I believe. Media made me misconceive. And this is honestly supposed to be the strongest point of my poem, in saying that because of all of this inaccurate representation, all of this lying, this manipulating that the media has been doing to society since media started is working, and people do believe everything. I don't want to say everything, but a lot of people do not fact check, and they don't take things with a grain of salt, and they genuinely believe what media outlets, who half the time are being paid by large corporations to say what they say, are not really giving you the truth. So that's my poem, that's my presentation. Yeah.